sky serene lies a town not anything like any town you've seen. Just hone in on to stately buttes, then look right in between to find lush parks, friendly folks, and tree-lined campus green. Come join us for the fun awaiting everyone. Our welcome mat is out for you in Eugene, Oregon. She's an outdoor town with hikers, bikers, lots of scenes pristine. The arts, all sorts of college sports, mouth-watering cuisine. With so much going for her, she's a special place to me. A city neatly nestled twixt the Cascades and the sea. And though we've days of clouds and rain, there's also lots of sun in our Pacific paradise, Eugene, Oregon. Come join us for the fun awaiting everyone. Our welcome mat is out for you in Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene is celebrating its first 150 years.
Happy birthday, Eugene, for 150 great years.
Today we will take a look back at the people, buildings, and events that have made Eugene what it is today. The Calipoya Indians were in the area before settlers arrived. In 1846, Elijah Bristow led a group of settlers, including Eugene Skinner, to the Mid-Willamette Valley area. Skinner made a claim on the area along the Willamette River, where Skinner Butte Park is today.
Upon the whole, I will candidly say that was I offered all the state of New York and be compelled to live there, or live in Oregon on a bare subsistence, I'd take Oregon.
Skinner was told by the Calipoyan Indians, Yapoa, possibly a term meaning very high ground, suggesting they build on the hill that is now Skinner Butte, rather than on the flat area due to frequent flooding of the Willamette. You can find a monument on the butte where Skinner's first cabin was originally located. Although many early pioneers wanted to establish farms, Skinner wanted to establish a city. He started by establishing a ferry service across the river. It is why the bridge carrying Coburg Road traffic is called the Ferry Street Bridge. Eugene Skinner operated a trading post out of his cabin, and when Oregon became a U.S. territory, he became the local postmaster. Lane County was established on January 29, 1851, and named for Joseph Lane, who had been appointed by President Polk as the governor when Oregon became a U.S. territory. It was not obvious which Lane County city would become the county seat, but Eugene Skinner and his neighbor Charlington Mulligan each donated 40 acres of land to the county to ensure that the county seat would indeed be Eugene. The following year, Eugene Skinner and Judge David Risden, the owner of the first house built in the area, platted a town site. Unfortunately, the original site was next to the Willamette River and became very muddy during heavy rains. The local residents nicknamed it Skinner's Mud Hole. A revised plat on higher ground was recorded in 1853. Eugene Skinner's wife, Mary, perhaps recognizing that residents might continue to use the Mud Hole nickname, suggested calling the new town the City of Eugene. Eugene apparently had a major influence early in Oregon's history. In 1856, various cities competed in an election to become the territorial capital. Eugene won, but the legislature decided the vote was non-binding. In 1859, when Oregon became a state, the first governor was John Whitaker from Eugene. He is a gentleman on horseback in this mural in the Oregon Senate chambers. The mural shows people gathering on a Salem street when it was announced that Oregon had become a state. In addition to serving as governor, John Whitaker served as a member of Congress, the Speaker of the Oregon House, and President of the Oregon Senate. He is the only person who served in all four of those positions. Whitaker owned land in Eugene. It is where the Whitaker neighborhood is today. Although we became a state in 1859, the choice of an official capital had not been decided. A vote in 1862 again favored Eugene, but there was an issue regarding Salem officials releasing the voting information, and the voting was declared invalid. Salem officially became the state capital in 1864. You can discover some of Eugene's history on plaques located throughout town. Eugene's first public school was located close to 11th and Olive. There's a plaque on a building at that location. There's another plaque to show the location of Eugene's first college. And no, it was not University of Oregon. Columbia College was started by the Presbyterian Church in 1856. It survived one fire, but a second one was too much, and the school closed in 1860.
Happy birthday, Eugene. It's been a great run living in Eugene for more than 40 years, for being associated with the University of Oregon and all that it means not only to the Eugene-Springfield community, but also to the rest of the region, the state, and indeed now the world.
The Oregon legislature passed a bill in 1872 to place the University of Oregon in Eugene. After numerous fundraising efforts by the community, the university opened in 1876. The first two buildings were originally called the Building and the New Building. The buildings have since acquired names and are both on the National Registry of Historic Places. The older building was named for Judge Matthew Deedy. Deedy served as a judge in Oregon for 40 years, first as a member of the Oregon Supreme Court, then as the only judge serving on the federal court for the state of Oregon. In 1857, he was elected as president of the Oregon Constitutional Convention, which created the Constitution we put in place when we became a state. He served on the Board of Regents for the University of Oregon for 20 years, and designed the university seal that is still in place today. Deedy Hall was named in his honor in 1893. The university may not have survived to that date if it was not for the help of railroad magnate Henry Villard, the namesake of the university's second oldest building. In 1881, the university was nearly $8,000 in debt, and creditors were threatening to close it and sell the buildings. Henry Villard donated $7,000 to help pay off the debt and provided $50,000 in railroad stock to place the university on stable financial footing. Sports started at the university in the 1890s when a new university president, C.H. Chapman, brought new thinking about the benefits of physical education. Men started intercollegiate play in football. Women started the same year with intramural basketball. Since women's athletic gear was considered a notch above naughty, no men were allowed to watch. The football team, then called the Webfoots, won their first game 44-2 over Albany College. Unfortunately, that was the only time they scored that season. They ended the 4-game season with 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 tie. The next year, 1895, the team won all 4 of their games. So far, their only season without a loss. As the college grew, they recognized the need for better facilities, and Hayward Field was built in 1919, primarily to serve the football program. The track was not added until 2 years later. The field was named for Bill Hayward. During his career, Hayward served as the athletic trainer for the football team and coached the basketball team. but is best recognized as the influential coach that made the track and field program what it is today. During his more than 40 years at the university, he coached 4 track world record holders, 6 American record holders, and 9 Olympians, and coached his successor, Bill Bowerman. In 1912, he was selected as a coach for the Summer Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. He continued as a coach for the next 5 Olympic Games. As a coach, Bill Bowerman continued the success of Hayward, coaching over 60 All-Americans and over 30 Olympians in 24 years. He learned of jogging as a fitness routine in a 1962 trip to New Zealand. A 90-page book he wrote about the subject a few years later sold almost 1 million copies and is credited with starting jogging as a regular fitness program across the United States. Bill Bowerman's handshake agreement with his former runner, Phil Knight, and his desire to experiment with improvements in footwear had made Nike into the worldwide athletic company it is today. Today, Hayward Field is considered to be one of the top 5 track and field venues in the country. It has hosted numerous NCAA championships and Olympic trials. Although it has become a wonderful track and field facility, Hayward was never much of a field for football. Because of its capacity, only a few games a year were played there. Games that had a potential for larger attendance, like those against Washington and USC, were held at Portland's Multnomah Stadium, which is now called Jeld-Wen Field. Autzen Stadium opened in 1967. It was built on land that Oregon's athletic director Leo Harris had the school acquire in the 1950s with that purpose in mind. The parkway next to the stadium is named in his honor. The land was an artificial landfill which eliminated the need for multi-level ramps. Part of the funds were donated by the Autzen Foundation, which was headed by the son of Portland lumberman and philanthropist Thomas J. Autzen. Thomas Autzen was actually an alumnus of OSU, but the contributions were made because his son attended the University of Oregon in the late 1930s and early 1940s. The stadium has had renovations over the years and is now the largest venue for sporting events in the state. Because of the close proximity of the fans to the field, the noise level can be a distraction to opposing teams. After the Ducks defeated third-ranked Michigan in 2003, the noise level prompted a newspaper reporter for the Michigan Daily to write, "Autzen Stadium is where good teams go to die." Sports have not been the only things from the university that have had an impact on Eugene. There have been a number of University of Oregon professors whose contributions have been noted in their fields and improved our community. Those include Thomas Condon, who as a self-taught scientist became Oregon's first state geologist. He corresponded with noted scientists of the late 1800s. Horse fossils he discovered were used to support Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. He was one of the first 3 professors at the university and taught almost 30 years. Condon Hall is named in his honor. Dr. Luther Cressman discovered what may be the world's oldest shoes. In 1938, Dr. Cressman found dozens of sandals near the Fort Rock volcanic crater in central Oregon. His 1981 book, The Sandal in the Cave, provided a complete picture of Indian life throughout Oregon from the time of the sandals to present day. The discoveries and more information about Professor Condon and Professor Cressman can be found at the University of Oregon's Museum of Natural and Cultural History. Wayne Morris served as professor, then dean of the University of Oregon Law School while still in his 30s. He served as U.S. Senator for 24 years, taking a major role in legislation for civil rights, fairness in the workplace, and access to education. His fierce independence on issues earned him the nickname Tiger of the Senate.
This is a wonderful adjunct to the University of Oregon, to Eugene, and to music education. In addition, it provides great music for people like me to come and listen to and appreciate.
The Oregon Bach Festival was started by University of Oregon professor Royce Salzman. While teaching in Germany one summer, Salzman met conductor Helmuth Reiling, and the two co-founded the festival. It began with 2 workshops and 2 concerts on a budget of $2,500. More than 40 years later, the festival offers more than 45 concerts, recitals, and lectures, and provides performances in Ashland, Astoria, Bend, Corvallis, Lincoln City, Portland, and of course, Eugene. It has more than 30,000 attendees every year.
Happy birthday, Eugene. Eugene's had a great past and it's going to have a wonderful future. From the last couple of decades, we've seen new parks, a renovated train station, a new public library, and it's going to be even better in the future. Happy birthday.
There have been many changes in the more than 150 years since Eugene Skinner platted the town, and residents started traveling along dirt and sometimes muddy streets. Those changes are reflected in the buildings that have been part of the growth of Eugene. Some of those have been torn down, but many are still here. Lane County first provided service out of the county clerk's office. It was built in 1853 and is now part of the Lane County Historical Society. In 1898, the county built a courthouse on the land that had been donated by Mulligan and Skinner. That building served the county until 1959, when it was replaced with the building that still stands today. The Smead Hotel on Willamette Street was built in 1884. The hotel at one time served as a hub of the city's social life. The building still stands, complete with the painted sign advertising the hotel, but now houses businesses instead of overnight guests. In 1888, Dr. Thomas Shelton and his wife Ada built the house that has become a Eugene landmark. When Dr. Shelton passed away, the house was given to their daughter, Alberta, and son-in-law, Robert McMurphy. After the death of Alberta, Dr. Eva Johnson purchased the house. She had grown up close by and always dreamed of owning the castle on the hill. All 3 families were involved in the community. When Dr. Johnson died, the city turned the house into a museum, giving visitors a chance to step back in time and learn about local history. In the early 1900s, Eugene continued to grow close to the butte and the transportation provided by trains. The Lane Building was a hotel for 75 years and provided a place for railroad workers to stay. Today, it houses businesses. The Café de Hall chose the name to show where the hotel lobby was located. In 1925, Eugene had the pleasure of welcoming the McDonald Theater and the Eugene Hotel. The McDonald Theater was the grandest theater in Eugene and considered the jewel in the crown of downtown movie houses. The Eugene Hotel was built by Mr. Bird Rose, who wanted a hotel large enough to host banquets and activities associated with the University of Oregon home games. Over the years, it has hosted a number of famous individuals, including Jack Nicholson and John Belushi. Belushi was filming Animal House when he met local blues artist Curtis Salgado at the Eugene Hotel and came up with the idea for his film, The Blues Brothers. The hotel is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places, and since 1983 has provided apartments for active adults over age 58. In the 1930s and 1940s, the Works Progress Administration hired the unemployed to build public works projects. The Eugene Post Office still stands as an example of those efforts. In the 1960s, with the interest in space exploration came greater interest in science, and the Science Factory got its start. It started as part of Portland's Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. It was known as WizTech, but now serves 30,000 people per year as the Science Factory. For more than 50 years, it has worked to engage, excite, and inspire people with a variety of hands-on science displays. It has also provided a planetarium to help them explore the stars. It is not a building, but has been part of downtown for more than 40 years. In 1970, the Eugene Saturday Market started, Every Saturday from early April until mid-November, you can find craftspeople selling a variety of art, from glasswork to recycled stainless steel. You can purchase produce or berries. You can sample a variety of foods. Buy a tie-dyed shirt, or even purchase a rainbow. It is now the longest continuously running market of its kind in the nation. Also more than 40 years ago, a report by the Lane County Auditorium Committee suggested building a performing arts center. After 2 failed bond elections in the 1970s and the Eugene City Council's decision to get involved in the process, a 3rd vote was successful, and the building of the Halt Performing Arts Center began. The Halts donated $3 million. $2.5 million of that was to provide an endowment for the operation of the facility and the 6 local arts companies that call the facility home. The Halt Center was the first performing arts center in the country to be built without the benefit of state or national funding. It opened on September 24, 1982. The building has a number of whimsical touches, like the faces serving as a border, and the ticket embedded in the entrance walkway. It has hosted performances by George Carlin, Dolly Parton, Isaac Perlman, and the Martha Graham Dance Company, as well as many others. Today, the Halt Center hosts more than 700 events and activities a year.
My family moved to Eugene in August 1962, 50 years ago. And just 2 months before the Columbus Day storm, which those of us who lived through will never forget, with the trees falling down, electricity out, it was a very memorable welcome to Eugene. The other thing that I remember when we were just kids riding in the car with my mother, as she was going down 5th Street, heading west, and suddenly a train was coming down the middle of the street heading towards us, just beside where is now the Oregon Electric Station restaurant. But that was truly a station for an electric train that 50 years before MX was providing transit for our local community. And it's just a reminder of how much we've changed, but also of how much the challenges that we have remain the same.
Eugene Skinner had a ferry service across the river, but it was the Willamette River that first provided a major transportation link to areas outside of Eugene. Steamboats, perhaps like this one you can see in Salem, began freight and passenger service in the mid-1850s. However, due to the low water flow, they were unable to reach Eugene during many of the summer months. Trains from the Oregon and California Railroad came to Eugene in 1871, effectively ending the need for steamboats. Another of Eugene's landmark buildings, the Oregon Electric Station, was designed to serve the Great Northern and Northern Pacific Willamette Valley electric train system. The first electric train arrived on October 15, 1912, to a crowd of 25,000, and headlines in the local paper declaring this the greatest day in the history of Eugene. Although the train was here, the building, designed by noted Portland architect A.E. Doyle, would not be ready for another 19 months, prompting some citizens to suggest it be called Old Slow and Easy. You can see many pictures of the building and trains at the Oregon Electric Station restaurant, and still dine in a railroad car. In 1891, Eugene saw its first public transportation in the form of a mule-pulled trolley. Wiley Griffin, one of Eugene's first African-American pioneers, provided service for 9 years, driving his mule between the train depot and the University of Oregon. Trolley lines have come and gone more than once in Eugene's history. They peaked with 4 streetcar lines covering 18 miles of track. A staff of 27 kept the lines running 18 hours each day. Today, Eugene has an award-winning transit system, and the downtown station has a plaza dedicated to Rosa Parks, the African-American woman who refused to give up her seat on the bus, which helped prompt the U.S. Supreme Court to rule that segregation in transportation was unconstitutional.
You know, birthdays are always a time to reflect, and I was thinking of some of the more notable things in my part in Eugene history, and I guess one of the most notable is the Eugene Celebration Slug. We had proposed, instead of being called the Eugene Celebration, it would be called a Slug Fest. And the Slug was a phenomenal hit. With that, I would like to say, for Eugene, happy 150th birthday, Eugene.
Along the blue Willamette, under skies serene, lies a town not anything like any town you've seen. You've seen some of what has made Eugene what it is today, and an opportunity to discover many others. I'm Darrell Jabin. Thank you for watching.
Come join us for the fun, awaiting everyone. Our welcome mat is out for you in Eugene, Oregon. She's an outdoor town with hikers, bikers, lots of scenes pristine. The arts, all sorts of college sports, mouth-watering cuisine. With so much going for her, she's a special place to me. A city neatly nestled,